Hello, this is Brad, and it's April 15th, 2019, Tax Day! Hope you all got your taxes done so you can relax and think about things that are more fun, like bees. Believe it or not, this colorful box that I'm sitting next to here is one of my wintertime projects. That's a beehive. It's not just one beehive, it's two beehives. It's a beehive duplex. There's a divider that runs right down the center. There'll be a queen in her colony over here and another queen in her colony over there. Here's their entrances. A little slot down on each corner. A couple aeration holes. But this is a little bit different hive than what you might normally see in the United States. Langstroth hives are the type where you see boxes that stack up vertically. This is called a horizontal hive. I got the plans off of a really nice website called www.horizontalhive.com. Created by Dr. Leo Shareshkin down in Missouri. He does a really good job of explaining how these types of hives work, why they're good for bees, and he even has complete plans on how to build one of these. So if you're a little bit handy with woodworking, you can make one of these yourself, or I make a few extra if people want to buy them too. So I did get a little bit carried away here with my design with the big flat front on it here. I thought it needed some pictures. I am not an artist by any sense of the word. But I did take some printouts of pictures that I liked, traced them on here, and I can paint within the lines a little bit. So the sun and the flowers are pretty much paint within the lines. The bees and the butterflies, those are decoupage where I cut out printed out the bees, cut them out, glued them on here, and then the whole thing is sealed with several coats of exterior polyurethane, so it should stay nice looking for a long time. But I did do one thing. I made the sun's sunglasses the same as my own. Well, pretty close. Anyhow, so this is the front of the hive. I did some nice metal roofing from Menards. Makes it look real pretty, and it protects it from the elements too. And there's a custom-made wooden stand here that puts the hive at just the right height for when you work on it. So the difference between a horizontal hive and a vertical hive is there's just one layer of frames in this box. And this lid, you're going to see later on, it tilts up to have access to the frames. So you never have to lift the box. You'll tilt the lid up, but that's about it. The original horizontal hive designs were designed way back in the 1800s by George Layens. There's millions of these in use in other countries, in Europe and whatnot. The Langstroth hives are more popular in the US, but the horizontal hives definitely have their place. And I'm going to show you a few things that I think make this a really neat hive. Let's go ahead and look around the rest of the hive here. The other three sides of the hive I painted trees mostly, trying to make it look a little bit more natural. The front of the hive will face the homeowners where I store my beehives so they can see the nice pictures. But I wanted the rest of it to look a little bit more natural and maybe not quite so obvious to people driving by on the road. This hive will be located behind some trees, but I did want to make sure that it wasn't catching too much of interest from other people that might want to mess around with the bees for some reason. All right, let's take a look at the rest of the hive here. So when you come out, you'll be approaching the hive from the back. Again, the bees are going out the front of the hive, because we don't want to get in their way as they're coming and going. So on the back of the hive, there's no openings. And all you do to open up your hive is just lift the lid and let it rest back there. You don't have to lift open boxes or anything like that. You'll put some smoke in a little bit like you normally do with regular beehives. But here you can see the divider. And I'll leave a little bit of a gap for the frame so you can move them back and forth. But I cover those up when I'm not working with the bees. On each side, we're going to see 17 of these frames, and they're much bigger than your normal Langstroth deep frame. So these 17 frames will be about the equivalent of 3 deep Langstroth boxes. So there's plenty of room for a bee colony to have all their brood and some excess honey for you to get to. And you can see here's some of the pink insulation. I'm going to show you a little bit later how this hive is insulated. But let's take a look at a couple of the frames. This frame on this end is what I call a conversion frame. And the reason why is I've taken two Langstroth frames. Here's a Langstroth Deep and a Langstroth Medium, and I've screwed them right to this piece of wood. For a conversion frame, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take frames from my Langstroth hives, screw them onto here so there'll be brood and pollen and honey all throughout here. And I'm going to make up 3 or 4 of these from one of my existing hives, put those into this hive right here, along with a queen or queen cell, to start a new bee colony. The regular frames look more like this. So you can see this is a pretty large area that we're going to have natural comb on. I followed the design of one other fellow who put a 1/4 inch piece of dowel across the middle of the frame here, both to give the frame stability and for the comb as they're building the natural comb here. If you do want to harvest honey from these types of frames, this is not a frame you can put in any kind of extractor unless you have a really huge commercial extractor, which most people don't. This type of hive is really more intended for the backyard beekeeper or the hobbyist beekeeper. And if you do want some honey, you can just come along and cut out the natural honeycomb right here. Use it like some people do, just with natural honeycomb, or crush it and strain it through a filter and get some nice honey out of this. It's not as easy as throwing a bunch of frames into an extractor and spinning them, but you can definitely get some nice honey out of here. You know, enough for a homeowner or a hobbyist for their own personal use, and to give away some to friends and family. The other thing, on this one frame, I did something a little bit different. I drilled some holes in here, put some screen on to add some more ventilation for the hive. A little bit of an experiment to see if this works. One of my friends said he did the same thing, and the bees covered it up with propolis. So if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, it'll be nice. All right, so I'd like to show you a couple things that I did differently than Dr. Leo. Again, his website's horizontalhive.com, and he sells these types of hives. He also has complete plans on there with all the detailed measurements for you to make your own. You can make a double one like I've made. His plans are for a single wide hive, but it's easy to stretch them longer or shorter, however you want to cut your wood. But I did want to show you some of the things I did differently. On Dr. Leo's hives, the sides are made with 2-inch thick lumber, which is actually 1.5 inches. So he uses 2x10s put together to make the sides of the hive. Those are thicker than your normal Langstroth hives, which are just 3/4 inch pine. I did something different. Here in Nebraska, our hives need some insulating protection in the wintertime. So what I did is I sandwiched 1.5 inch thick pink styrofoam insulation, the rigid insulation. That's got a volume of R75. You can see it here. I've got a sheet of it in the lid and a sheet on the bottom. But this is what the sides look like. So this is the inner portion of the hive. It's actually regular 3/4 inch lumber. Here's your 1.5 inches of insulation, and the outside skin is 1/4 inch plywood. The other thing that's different, the wood that I bought, I found this at one of the big box stores, but it's got a corrugated surface on it. And what I've been reading is that the bees really like a rough surface on the inside of their hive to fill in with propolis. The propolis is very important to the ecology of the beehive. It helps the bees stay healthier. So I'm going to try this and see how it works. Typically as beekeepers, we're always trying to scrape the propolis away. So we're kind of doing the wrong thing, from what I understand. So this is a little bit of an experiment too. But this whole wall of the hive, between the insulation and the wood, we're getting close to R10 value for the insulation. So it'll be very well insulated for wintertime. Also in the summertime, on those super hot days, it'll be easier for the bees to stay cool. All right, we're looking down inside the hive now, and this is the bottom corner of the hive. This is one other thing I added to my hive that's unique. It's a hive beetle trap. One of the problems that we have with bees is the small hive beetles get in here and eat the wax and the nectar and the larvae, and just generally cause problems, and they can kill your bees eventually. The bees can't kill the beetles, but what they will do is chase them into corners. So the beetles will try and go hide. So they will be able to crawl through that mesh screen, and underneath that is a piece of PVC pipe with a cap on it that I'll put some oil into. And when the beetles run down in there, they'll get stuck in the oil and won't be able to get back out.
So hopefully these are a nice permanent way of putting hive beetle traps in my hive, and we can keep the hive beetles at a minimum.
All right, just one other thing that I wanted to show you that I kind of discovered by accident on my hives. But when you do take a frame out, it's typically going to be covered with bees or wax or honey, whatever. And the hard thing you have to do is where do you set that frame? Because you typically like to leave one frame sitting out so that you have room to slide the other frames around. Well, this lid lets you just set a frame right up there out of the way, and that way you can mess with these other hives, excuse me, these other frames down in here. And then when you're all done, you just grab it from there and slide it back down in. So that, again, I didn't design that on purpose, but it was an accident, and I'm glad it worked out that way. All right, so that's all I have today. Again, I'm pretty happy with how this hive turned out. I hope to make another one for the Omaha Bee Club. It'll have a Winnie the Pooh theme on the front. If any of you have any questions or are interested in one of these hives, just feel free to message me on Facebook. And I can make up a few of these per year. I don't have a lot of spare time with pizza season coming up. But I would like to have a few people try these too, because I think they're pretty neat. Thanks a lot.